Welcome. In front of me is an Honor Magic 4 Lite, and today I'll show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this phone. So there will be in no particular order whatsoever, or maybe they will be in terms of where you can find them. And I'm gonna start off with all the tweaks that you can find in the display section of your settings. So display and brightness, and we can start off with the dark mode. So you can see we have a switch right here. Now I'll be completely honest, because this is technically running on like Huawei software. Let's miss the fact that it's called Honor, and apparently they're completely different companies, but yet their software is exactly the same. We get the stupid dark mode right here, which has no options for schedule. Normally you have a sunrise to sunset options nowadays, or a schedule where you can select a time that it turns on or off, giving you what I'd consider best of both worlds. So when you're using your phone during the daytime, especially outside, light mode or just complete like brightness is way better than dark mode. And during nighttime, obviously it might be a little bit more pleasant to not have your irises singed out by brightness from your phone, so dark mode will be better there. But because this is Huawei almost, we don't have that. We just have a hard switch right here which you can't interact with apart from turning it on or off. Now to combat this, I do have a little bit of a solution to this. It's still manual, but at least you won't have to navigate into the settings display and then toggle it on and off whenever you want to change it. And what you can do is just pull down your notifications, and in here you'll find this pencil icon. And in the turned off toggles, we should have the dark mode. Oh wait, never mind. It's actually added. I don't think it should be added by default, so you'll probably find it somewhere here. Just drag it over like so. For me it's added, but like I said, I don't think this is the default state of it. So anyway, once you have this toggle dark mode, you can then toggle it on and off at will. So a little bit simpler and quicker than navigating into the settings if you want to switch it on or off. But now moving on to the next one, it's going to be not this. It's going to be the refresh rate. As you can see, I have it right now set to be screen refresh rate standard. By default, I believe it's set to dynamic. So if it's not, then I recommend changing it to dynamic for most people. Now, the reason why I'm saying for most is because there will be some that standard might be actually better. So anybody who wants to strictly prioritize battery life and then nothing else, standard will give you better battery life over dynamic. While dynamic will give you a still relatively decent battery life, but on top of that it will give you this nice battery smooth animation when you're scrolling or doing anything. The display will be refreshing basically twice as fast, giving you just this feel that everything runs faster and smoother. It's, in my opinion, well worth the sacrifice of like some battery life. But obviously, like I said, not for everybody. So if you prefer to just have your battery life at the highest like possible life, so lasting as long as you can, then you might want to change it to be at standard. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the eye comfort. Now this is a option that might be good for people that want to keep their device in light mode, for instance, and still, as an example, use it during night. So apparently there were some like studies done that yellow colors don't really affect your eyes as much as blue color on the screen, and it might be easier for you to fall asleep. I think it's absolute BS, but if you tend to keep this on, maybe just out of being used to it, or maybe you do like it, then you can find it right here in eye comfort. And all you need to do is just select enable, either schedule or enable all day, and this will turn your screen nice and bright piss yellow. Now moving on to the next option, which is also under the display, it's going to be the option for hiding the carrier. As you can see, for me it says no service right now, but if I had any kind of SIM card inserted, it would probably say something like T-Mobile, Virgin Mobile, or anything like that. Which, why? I don't care who am I getting my service from as long as I'm getting it. So to get rid of it, if it annoys you as much as it does me, you can just go into more display settings, display carrier name, and be gone. And here you go. You now have a little bit more clean status bar. Now moving on to the next options. Now these will be located under the home screen and wallpaper, and they will strictly touch upon changing the look and the feel of your home screen, as probably the category would suggest. So let's open it up, and we can start off by selecting our home screen style. This will allow you to enable app drawer, which for some reason their lack of app drawer, they're calling it standard mode. Excuse me, what? Now, just to clarify why I'm being confused here is because this is Android. And Android standard mode is to have frickin' app drawer. Standard for not having app drawer would be if that would be an iPhone. I know they're trying to pretend to be one, but well, they're miserably failing out at it right now. But yeah, so let's get rid of standard because it's just, I have no words for it. And unfortunately, there will be one thing that you might just realize happened. If you already had your apps organized on your home screen, dealing with the stupidity of the standard mode, and you probably had like a bunch of your favorite apps already on like main screen, maybe on the second one, and then any app that you didn't want on like last screen, as you would probably normally do, then right now you probably have everything back to default, which as you can see, the apps are now as they would normally be after freshly starting up your phone. And any app that you have installed is now located right here. So unfortunately, you will need to reorganize your apps again. If you keep your favorite apps on like the main screen right here, you need to do that again. But at least now you don't have to have all the installed apps visible on one of the pages. So in my opinion, that's a positive. And while we're talking about apps and visible on the home screen, you can navigate back into the settings and home screen and wallpaper. And under home screen settings, you will find layout. Now by default it is set to the biggest one, so I prefer to have it set to the smallest one, which is 5x6. I think that would be the other way around in this case, because I can now fit more apps on a single page. But the reason why I like to change it is not because I can fit more apps on a single page, it's because those apps become smaller now. So the size of them actually decreased to accommodate for more apps, and this overall gives me a bit cleaner look on my home screen, which is something that I prefer myself. Now, while also talking about cleanness of your display, we can now touch upon another option, which is gesture navigation. Now that will get rid of the buttons at the bottom and substitute them for gestures, and unlike other phones like Samsung or Apple, it's completely invisible. So on Samsung's you do have a little bar right at the bottom bezel of the phone, and Apple has a bit more egregious bar, but still it's there. Here it's completely unobstructed look, completely clean without any kind of just visual indication that you have gestures on. So to do so, let's navigate into System and Update, System Navigation, Gestures, and there you go. Now by default it will tell you to learn the gestures, so you can select try and then go through it or close it if you don't want to. And you can see there's nothing at the bottom. So the way you navigate right now is by swiping up. So the quick swipe will take you home. Make sure you do it from the very bottom. So the best way to get your gestures always correctly would be to do it from the bezel. So let me just kind of show this. Oop. And you can see it went smoothly. Now, recent button is now substituted by swipe and hold, which, there we go. Swipe and hold, and then back button is swiping from either side. So you can see there is an arrow popping up, which goes back. So there we go. And while I was using those gestures, you could probably see this. This is another thing that I'm going to show you. So this is a side panel, like duh. And normally you can just launch apps from here by tapping on them, grabbing them and dropping them. And also you can add more. Now there's a couple of functions to this. So if I tap on it, it opens it up in pop-up view, as you can see, which you can resize if you want to. You can fully interact with this. If you go home and minimize it into an app head, you can also split screen apps. So if the same thing, let's grab application. So dragging it and dropping it will open it up in full screen. Then if we go back and grab another app, as you can see, things shift, and when I drop it, it will open it up in split screen now. And again, I can add another app to be in pop-up view. So I can have 3 or more applications. So you can see I now have 2 in the background as in split screen, and then 3 more right here. So this, notepad and email or files. And I think I can add probably several more if I wanted to, but I'm just not going to bother. Now you can also tap on the plus button, and this will display all the apps that are installed on your phone, which you can add more of them in here just by simply pressing on them. As you can see, select done once you're finished adding them, and now you can just scroll up and down to find your desired apps. Obviously this will work best if you have limited amount of apps and just have like your most favorite ones, and you can then quickly find your apps and just drag them or tap on them to have them accessible. And with that being said, this would conclude tweaks and tricks that I want to show you. So if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.